In this video, we're going to be installing Firefox onto a Windows computer. This is a Windows 10 machine, so it comes with Microsoft Edge already installed on it. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Edge and go to google.com. And in the search, I'm going to type Firefox, download. Pretty much the top link in most situations is going to be the Firefox download link. But in this case, you can see it goes to mozilla.org. So I'm going to go ahead and go to mozilla.org. The reason I'm doing this is that their website changes a lot. So if we go to their main page, we can look for free download or say download Firefox. This may move over here, it may change shapes, but you're pretty much always just looking for this. Now the website will figure out what version of your operating system it's running and send you the right file. And it pretty much downloads immediately as soon as you go to this section of the page. Once it's done, you can hit run. This may pop up, and when it does, you can go ahead and hit yes. As you can see, this is the Firefox installer made by the same place we just downloaded it from. So we'll say yes, I'd like to give us permission to run. Now there are some options that you can look at when installing this about where you'd like your icons to be placed. If you'd like your icon to be down here, like this little folder is, that is your taskbar. If you'd like your icon to be inside of here, then that is going to be on your start menu. And your desktop, of course, is the area here in this blank space. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and say that I'd really like to just have all three done. We're going to pretend I did that because I don't want icons everywhere. Now these bottom two options, send information about installation of Mozilla. You don't need to do that. Now this background update service, due to changes of things on the internet and in new threats that are being discovered, it is wise to keep this on because this will update the browser as it's needed to prevent you from having anybody take advantage of a security hole in an older version of the same browser. So I'm going to go ahead and hit install. Now you do have to maintain internet connection during this time. As you can see, it is actually downloading Firefox for real right now. And this is what they call a thin client. And thin clients will go out and download the files of whatever they're directed to. So say, for example, if you go to download Microsoft Office these days, you don't download the whole Office. You download the thin client, and it downloads the most recent one for you. Now, in this case, if you are moving from Microsoft Edge over, I would go ahead and say that you like to import all your information over using this option. I'm not moving over, I'm just doing this for basically the purposes of this video. So I'm going to say I don't want to import anything, but you might click this or you might click that. It's going to load up and ask you if you want it to be your default browser. If that's the case, go ahead and say use this as my default browser. I'm not going to because I use another browser. Now we've got Firefox installed, I'm going to show you how to configure it so that it's more secure. I'm going to go into options from this little top menu, and if you're wondering, it's called the hamburger menu because it looks like a hamburger. So we click on the hamburger menu and come down to options. And this is where we could say where we want it to go to when it loads up. So I'm going to say, hey, I'd like you to go to www.google.com. And that means every single time I start this up, it will go to google.com. Now we're going to say where we would like to search. Now, not everybody uses these. Sometimes you got a guy who's just, I have to use everything Google or I have to use everything Bing. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say at this top one here that we're going to use Google as our search provider. And I'm going to go ahead and remove all the other ones that are not Google. That way, whenever I search, it always searches Google. I always check this box because it looks nicer that way. And under privacy, we're going to use tracking protection in private windows. And under security, we have to make sure these are all checked. This bottom one, you can say, okay, I'd like you to save passwords for sites. If you do not want this behavior, you're going to uncheck this box. So these top three warn me when sites try to install add-ons, block reported attack sites, block reported web forgeries. You want those checked. I'm going to jump back up to privacy. I'm going to go under here and hit custom settings. So Firefox will use custom settings for history. And then I want to go underneath here and it says accept third-party cookies. I'm going to say no to that because what third-party cookies are, in most cases, are tracking cookies. If you'd like to be tracked across the internet, then leave that on. I'm going to say that I don't want these. And another way you can think of this is that if you were to go into Kroger's or whatever your grocery store is, and somebody from another store came in and said, hey, why don't you go over here and buy from us instead, and you tell them to go away, and then they follow you to Burger King and ask you to do it again, that is basically what a tracking cookie is. And they can be used to collect information about your browsing habits. So we're going to go ahead and say this is not going to be a part of our life. Now you've pretty much configured Firefox to run in a pretty secure way. There are, of course, other options, but this, of course, is a basic tutorial. Thank you for watching.